Baltimore and WNST trading deadline. But this guy is in a town that never sleeps, and it's not New York. It is Boston. He is the new owner, editor, and columnist at the BSJ, the Boston Sports Journal. He's my longtime friend and longtime NFL insider at Sports Illustrated, amongst other places. He is Greg A. Bedard out on Twitter, and we welcome him in to, first off, Greg, congratulate you on starting your own gig up there in Boston, and I want to give you a full room to expand upon all that, but it's football season, and 'tis the season for new projects, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, we just concluded our first week. We had a free preview week for people to sort of see what we are about. We are a paid subscription site where basically the model is the subscribers pay for the writers, and then advertisers help offset travel costs. And we plan to fully travel to everything. Everything with the Patriots and the Celtics and the Bruins and the Red Sox and all that stuff. And so, you know, I just looked around the landscape after I got laid off from SI, and I was like, you know, I could go here, I could go there, but I was just kicking the can down the road because nobody really has the answer for the future in this business. And I looked at what Dejan Kovacevic was doing in Pittsburgh with DK Pittsburgh Sports. It really connected with me in terms of not only the quality of product that they were putting out, how they were hustling, but also like the community that they were building. And I think that's huge because, you know, today we're more connected than ever through our phones and the internet and stuff like that. But the truth is, a lot of people are more isolated than ever, and they don't really interact with people. They don't have a sense of community or whatever. Well, BostonSportsJournal.com is going to allow Boston sports fans from both New England and all over the country and the world, including I know there are a bunch in your area. They could sign up. They can be in the comment section. We have tons of Q&As back and forth with the fans. It's a really great community that we have building, and I think we're headed for big things.
Well, when did this all I mean, obviously the empire is crumbling here for sports media and sport. I mean, I'm in the middle of it in Baltimore as well, where we have the Baltimore Sun struggling. They've been in bankruptcy at various points. There are other publications locally and other radio stations and stuff. But, Baltimore's a much smaller market. I mean, Boston's got this massive thing. New York. I mean, I think Pittsburgh's probably got another thing going on because of the hockey team as well. But the Chicagos, the LAs, ESPN has gone in and tried to embed reporters, and now they've quit on various projects. I was nationally syndicated on radio, and there's been lots of movement in the sporting newses and Fox Sports' and Fox Sports 1's. And, all we hear about are terminations, layoffs, and, vested writers, people like Jason Stark that don't have a gig, right? And, yet you're out there trying to start something up. I mean, it doesn't feel like an easy time to do this, and I know that from operating WNST for the last 20 years, but it is an amazing time for journalism that you can click a button that I could be on a bridge in Paris last week with my wife and broadcast to anyone that wanted to watch me. Yeah.
I mean, yes, it would seem like to be a tough time, but I actually think it's the perfect time, especially in Boston. I mean, look, I love the pay. I love certain aspects of all the outlets around here. I have a lot of respect for them, but the Globe hasn't hired a new person and has had, basically mass people leaving out the door and not coming back. I mean, they're even losing people to the Washington Times, for crying out loud. The Boston Herald, there hasn't been a whole lot of turnover there. Comcast Sports New England up here has gone to more of a talk radio format instead of reporting, and they have some really good writers there. Nesson doesn't really have any coverage. WEI and the radio stations are going through a merger where everyone's sort of in a hiring freeze. Just in this market, I think it's a perfect time for a small, independent, trusted voice. And I got a great team with me. I mean, not only do I have a history of covering the Patriots, and people respect my analysis of the team, including people on the coaching staff and the front office, but Sean McAdam is one of the most experienced reporters on the Red Sox beat. He's back doing what he's doing. Chris Price.
He's been a guest on, all these guys have been guests on my show here. So my audience
Chris
is
Price
much like you come on a few
tremendous.
times a year. Yeah, same as them.
Brian Robb's an up-and-coming guy on the Celtics. And then my Bruins writer, when I can announce him next month, is dynamite, and he's another. We're all New England guys. This is where we want to be. This is where we want to work and cover teams, and we're banding together. And if we can keep costs low and sort of just slowly build this thing, and then just instead of getting out in front of our skis, I think we'll be good to go.
Greg Bedard joining us here. He is now with and running and owning Boston Sports Journal. He's one of my media heroes around here, sort of stepping out after, a very long and distinguished career, of your own in various places. But, to the point that this is where we are, right? If you want to work in this business, the jobs are shrinking all of a sudden. And I think a lot of people are leaving the industry, quite frankly, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's brutal. I was just talking to Peter King the other night because he put something in MMQB about me, my former boss over at the MMQB.com, and he was just like, what do you think of the industry right now? And I was like, it's terrible. I said, look, I'm 43 years old. I've covered Nick Saban and the Dolphins. I covered Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Mike McCarthy with the Packers. I've covered Bill Belichick, Tom Brady. I've covered the NFL as a whole. I'm 43 years old. I'm in my prime. Yet there are no jobs for me. And it's not because I'm bad at my job. I'm really good at my job. But the people who are directing this business have no clue. Well, I could certainly say that about SI. They have no clue what to do with the future. I mean, I realized that almost immediately when I got there. So I said, what am I going to do? Why am I going to take a job here where these people don't know what they're doing, or they're executives who get golden parachutes while I'm trying to scrape by? I said, and I told the guys, I said, how about we get together? We do this together. We make as much, only what we need to pay the bills and be a little bit comfortable. And then other than that, we're going to put the money into the business and try to grow this thing the right way and do it right.
He is Greg Bedard. They're doing it up there at Boston Sports Journal. You can check it out. I'm on the site right now. And obviously, this has been an interesting week in a lot of ways, from retirements on your football side. But I want to talk more about the baseball side and a $200 million pitcher that didn't get into it with you or get into it with a writer, got into it with Eckersley. And, we have sort of a similar situation here, Greg, with Jim Palmer, who does the games on Masson, who probably, and was trained with Howard Cosell and Al Michaels and all of those guys back in the day in the old ABC to be critical and fairly critical, and that was part of your expertise, and not stupid Fox Sports 1 critical, but fairly critical. And, Palmer is far more critical than anybody else on the Masson team, but still goes to the edge, and you can tell he wants to go further in his analysis, but isn't allowed to. And from all of the people that I've talked to in the organization, there have been plenty of young pitchers that have come through here the last 15 years that laugh at Jim Palmer, don't know who he is or what he does or why he does it, and that if he pulled you up in the corner, it's not some guy that is on television telling you how to be a better pitcher. It's a guy who is a better pitcher than you could ever dream of being. And I think the same thing at Dennis Eckersley. And I've read a lot of the work up there over the last week. I saw Ron Borges' piece, and I saw Shaughnessy's work. I've seen your thoughts on this as well. But, Eckersley's pretty well supported up there, and this isn't going to go well for Price, even though he's going to cash $200 million, right?
No, this is going from bad to worse. I mean, this is a guy who all he's done is complain and underachieve since he's been here, and he's got a whopping contract. I mean, he just goes about, he's just typical of these younger athletes, I mean, and younger people in general who just don't get it, who are, too much wrapped up into, they have rabbit ears from social media and all this stuff, where really they should be focusing on their job. I mean, what David Price should have done, look, if he has a problem with Dennis Eckersley, what he said about one of his teammates, that's fine. But what you do is you don't call him out in front of a group of people like your teammates. I mean, that's like clown, like second grade playground stuff. No, what you do is you go up to him like a man and you say, look, Dennis, I didn't appreciate the way you reacted to what Eduardo Perez or Rodriguez. This is why. This is what I think, and have a conversation. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had in different locker rooms with players who disagreed with me, and we hashed it out. But no, David Price has to act like a child because he is a child, and this is not. I can't, unless he all of a sudden evolves into Sandy Koufax down the stretch and into the postseason. I don't see this getting any better for him.
Well, and is it going to get better for the Red Sox? I guess that's the question. I mean, the Yankees have stumbled. The Red Sox have stumbled and bumbled a little bit. I'm sure there'll be some waiver wire stuff even after the deadline here coming up in the next coming weeks. But, I've seen the Red Sox all year as the team with the most amount of talent. They are the team that should win this thing. But they haven't really separated themselves, not even so much that the Orioles would have a fire sale at 4 o'clock on Monday.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you get a weird vibe from this club. I mean, they don't really have a ton of power. They're trying different things. Eduardo Nunez, the kid that they got from the Giants, has brought a little something, so maybe he starts to wake people up. And they just got bullpen help from Addison Reed. But, I don't know. I mean, this team, I haven't kept a close eye on the Yankees yet, so I'm not sure exactly how they match up and whether the Yankees can keep it up. But I would say, look, if the Red Sox are going to make a push here, not just like wild card round, it's time for John Farrell, if he's the manager that the brass here thinks he is. He needs to start making some right moves and pushing the right buttons, because this is one of those tweener teams where a really good manager puts the team over the top. Is he that guy? We'll see.
Well, they haven't hit the ball the way they did last year, and that vacuum of Ortiz, you can still feel that being sucked out 100 games later, right?
No doubt. I mean, there's just a void, from Ortiz not being here, not only in the lineup. I mean, I thought for sure at some point down the stretch they would go get a big bat, and that just hasn't happened. There were rumors about Todd Frazier, but then the Yankees jumped in front of them, and even Frazier's not that great. But I just don't think they have enough hitting, and they better hope their pitching's on point, because I don't think the lineup's going to bail them out.
He is Greg A. Bedard, out on Twitter and, of course, now at the Boston Sports Journal. You can follow him there and out on social media for all views on not just on Boston sports, but let's get to your area of true expertise, the National Football League. This is what you've done for a number of years, and covering the Patriots, being around the Patriots. Here in Baltimore, we're arguing about the Kaepernick thing, and I'm going to give you your ground to make your argument, pro, con, whatever. And obviously, Goodell rolled through here on Sunday night. Bisciotti was called up onto the stage by a PSL owner and sort of didn't look prepared to answer the question, and that's fine. And I say anytime Steve touches the microphone, it's always dangerous, because he's dangerously honest, like who's going to ride your wild horses, and you too. But, we've heard all of it. Meanwhile, up in New England, they're just sort of coasting along with a 40-year-old quarterback that no one's questioning, right?
Yeah, I mean, right now, through 4 days of camp, 2 days in pads, it's been, pretty boring and low-key. I mean, I did a column the other day about how, almost every year going back to, 2011, there's been some sort of news, whether it's the lockout ending or Aaron Hernandez or Deflategate for 2 years or whatnot. Like now, it's just, are they going to go 19-0? I mean, that's what seems to be the topic of conversation. And, so far, so good. Things look good. Rob Ninkovich retiring, it doesn't really change things for them. They certainly, pass rush is probably their only weakness on the team. But then again, they did other things like sign Stephon Gilmore to help with coverage, because as you know, if you cover better, then that makes the pass rush better. It's, it all works in concert. And so I think that's where they were headed. They do have some options, including putting Dante Hightower down in Nikovich's spot now with Davis Harris here from the Jets. That could work as a solution and be even better than what they had last year. So, the Patriots are just motoring along, and they're kind of laughing at. They're probably laughing at themselves about Joe Flacco's back and Colin Kaepernick and all that stuff.
Well, yeah, let's get your you break out your pen and your sword on this Kaepernick issue at this point. And I know at Boston Sports Journal you've promised the stick to sports thing and all that, and I get all that. And stick to sports to me is a flying middle finger fu to me and my voice as an American. And I tell you what. You can give me the stick to sports, and you can believe it if you're a fan, and if you're on the right side of the aisle, and that's the way you decide to go about it with me. But then this Kaepernick thing happens, right? And then all of a sudden, nobody's sticking to sports anymore, right? I mean, literally, everyone has been heard from on this topic. And, I thought it was telling that Bisciotti said that he felt like it wasn't as politicized as you may have thought through the comments that he saw. Well, he hasn't been on my face or my Twitter or, any of the places where I hear from people. But this is an incredibly charged issue, not just here, but I think in a lot of places. And the one thing that I said to Goodell on Sunday night, and he bristled at me as, he's wont to do, which was this is a pretty good signal to the other 3,000 guys in the league. Don't take a knee during the national anthem. Don't rock the boat around here, or you won't work in our league.
Yeah, I mean, Nestor, first thing first is that, one of the things with my new site at bostonsportsjournal.com is one of the things that we're doing is, like, we're staying away from politics, like, altogether, just because I want people to feel like that's an oasis. So I'm going to duck you a little bit, but I will say this. Like, Colin Kaepernick deserves to be an NFL quarterback. And NFL owners or GMs, they need to stop being such babies. I mean, what are their fans going to do? I mean, say the Ravens sign Colin Kaepernick. What are Ravens fans really going to do that's really going to hurt Steve Bisciotti and the Ravens organization? Nothing. They're going to be there on Sundays. They're going to watch the games. They're going to buy their merchandise. They won't buy a number 7 jersey, but who cares? I mean, these guys need to stop being babies, and they need to start staffing, and populating their team like they know they should, and they do in every other area. So I just think to me, it's ridiculous. I mean, if Colin Kaepernick had hit a woman or something like that, he would have been signed already. But because he knelt during the national anthem, I don't agree with it. But there's such a thing as freedom of speech in this country. Like, get over it. Get him on a football team. I don't care which football team, and let him sink or swim by his talent, because that's what the NFL is about.
Well, 121 quarterbacks are employed in the league over the weekend, and he wasn't one of them. So, I think that does speak to that he is toxic, and Steve Bisciotti and Goodell certainly felt it, on the stage on Sunday night in front of their own fan base, that the fans will be heard. The fans will not stick to sports, even as they're yelling at you and me to stick to sports. I guess that was the point.
They're just flapping their mouths. There's nothing behind that. It's all a bunch of hot air.
Well, and it is a backup quarterback. The real issue here is, how is Joe Flacco's back? Because if his back's not any good, I don't care if it's Mallett or Kaepernick or whatever Arena League football or RG3 or whatever they want to go and sign, they're not playoff worthy if Flacco's not right, in my opinion. They might not even be playoff worthy if he's right. Yeah,
no question. I think they're a borderline team with Flacco. And they need some things to go right, even though I'm a little bit, higher on them this year than I was last year. But there's no question. I mean, they have no shot. If Ryan Mallett or whoever is playing quarterback for the Ravens, they have no shot at the postseason.
Who are some teams you like, Greg? Obviously you're up there covering. Your questions are can we go 19-0 in New England? Who's going to make some noise here this year, as you see? I hear a lot about Tennessee. I hear a lot about Tampa Bay. Last year it was all about the Oakland Raiders. Last year, some people were all lubed up about the Jacksonville Jaguars this time last year.
Yeah, I mean, normally this is stuff I look at after a couple preseason games, but I mean, I think you have to look at things and you have to say, I think that, and I'll just go by division. I think the Dolphins have a chance to do a few things. I think the Bills will be better than people think. I really like Sean McDermott. Who knows in the AFC North? It's always sort of like a coin flip. Even though I think the Browns are a quarterback away from being a pretty good team. I do think that they're on the upswing. I think that I like the moves that the Colts made in this offseason. They have a real GM now that gives them a real chance. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with Dallas. They should take the next step and be a Super Bowl contender, but will guys like Ezekiel Elliott, and Dak, will they get big heads? Will they start buying into the hype? Being successful after having initial success is one of the hardest things in this league. Packers will be there as usual. The Bucks have a chance. I think the Panthers will bounce back. Falcons will fall a little bit, and then, who knows in the NFC East, West. I mean, I don't know. Cardinals, can they rebound? Did they learn some things last year about being too big for their britches? We'll have to see.
It's interesting you would say, can Dallas take the next step? They were 14-2. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think they're going to go 14-2 this year.
No. But can they be better? I mean, they won't be better in wins. Did they learn some things last year about being too big for their britches? We'll have to see.
It's interesting you would say, can Dallas take the next step? They were 14-2. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think they're going to go 14-2 this year.
No. But can they be better? I mean, they won't be better in wins and losses, but will they be more formidable come the postseason, a little bit lower, mentally resilient? That's where I think that they can show some improvement.
I have to think about that scene in Animal House where, you know, that's
where I think that they can show some improvement.
I have to think about that scene in Animal House where, you know, the Boston Sports, they're making the big move from the NFL to a broader site, and I'm wishing you 1,000,000,000% luck, and we'll be checking in with you as often as we can, and I'm sure the Red Sox and the Orioles will have something to say about the American League East here over the next couple of weeks, so I'm sure we'll check in there. Greg, good luck to you guys up there, man.
Sounds good, brother.
We're watching and subscribing. Boston Sports Journal's the place to find Greg and Greg A. Bedard. That's Bedard. Not related to Eric Bedard, so don't hold it against him. You can find me out in the Bayou Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear from anywhere in the world. Our morning newspaper delivers to your email inbox free of charge each and every morning. It's all powered up by our friends at Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. If there's any breaking news at all, on the Ravens, on the Orioles, you're going to get it first on the WNST text service. That is all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Of course, Dennis will be here on Thursday from 3 until 5, driving you home with the SSV on WNST. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. I got a lot of feedback on the Peter Principles last week as well. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, and streaming live on our Facebook as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.